Hey 90 Day fans, welcome back to Skipping the Sheets. Coming up today, did Tim's swinger lifestyle ruin his relationship with Jennifer? The shocking answer to who Chantel was flirting with on the bus. And Usman finally reveals what went down in the bedroom when he was with Kimberly all night long. Allegedly. You're not going to believe this. I am breaking down 90 Day Hunt for Love Between the Sheets episode 4, The Girl Who Played Mario Kart. This episode kicked off with producers showing the cast back. Again, that scene of Tim and Jennifer going at it. So I love this. On Between the Sheets, Tiffany kind of sets the tone in the conversation about this scene by saying Jennifer really looked like what Tiffany calls a scumbag, and like she's still hung up on Tim by making such a big deal out of all this. Tiffany also reveals that Jennifer cannot hold a drink and says it's embarrassing. Tiffany is really telling the truth about her cast members on this little after show, and Jennifer, meanwhile, is defending herself. She's like, I didn't say that Tim was gay. They just all assumed that from what I did say. Yes, hello, duh, Jennifer. You know what you did, and we all do too. Now listen, guys. You watch this because I watch Skipping the Sheets so that you don't have to. And I'm going to spill the tea here, so clock this. Jennifer spills on Between the Sheets that Tim's freaky side was too freaky for her. She revealed that after just a week together, when he went over to visit her that very first time, he was telling her, hey, you know what? If you're going to be my girlfriend, we're going to be going to swingers parties. We are going to be doing it up big. What? All of this that Jennifer has said she has on Tim, and she didn't reveal that he wanted her and him to involve themselves in the swinger lifestyle? You know, they're going to go hang out there with the secret lives of Mormon wives? I would love a reality TV collision. But that's not the only tea we get. Producers show the cast a never-before-seen scene that went down after Tim and Jennifer argued. Tiffany, Cortney, and Jennifer are all talking girl talk, little girl talk, to let us know what's really going down. Jennifer says she knows that Tim went to Tiffany's room that first night and talked all kinds of shiz about her. And Jennifer says, listen, Tim disrespected me, so I was going to tell the world who he really is. I guess it was important for producers to show us this scene because we did see there was a lot of backlash against Jennifer. A lot of fans were saying that she had taken it too far. So this is her really standing up for herself and going, I am just clapping back at him because of what he said about me. Tiffany gets real again in the scene to Jennifer's face, and she criticizes Jennifer for attacking Tim, and then she turns around and says to Cortney, and really this is all your fault for spilling the beans. So I guess now we know why Tiffany is there, right? She's working with the producers to make sure everything gets said and comes out on camera. We thought Cortney was the one spilling the real tea. Jennifer said, Tiffany, you're wrong. She said, Cortney, thank you for giving me this opportunity to put Tim in his place. And Cortney and Jennifer kind of have a little camaraderie moment there where they're like, yeah, Tiffany, we're not wrong. You're wrong. A very revealing, never-before-seen scene with the ladies there. But we all really want to know what went down on the bus ride home from the club. And it's kind of fun watching all of the cast watch this scene back. Rob's reaction, of course, was to say that it felt great for him to watch this scene of Jennifer rejecting Cole and going just straight for Rob. Cole, on the other hand, is sitting on the couch there, sadly, Between the Sheets, watching this back with just the most puppy dog, like, look on his face that makes you feel so bad for him. I was really feeling bad for Cole watching him watch all of this back. He looks seriously sad while he's watching this scene in the bus, and he revealed something very interesting. He says him and Jennifer talked off camera, and Jennifer really convinced him that she really cares for Cole, and that she told Cole that the reason why she went off with Rob and did what she did so disrespectfully to him is because he was acting controlling towards her. So it sounds like they really had this heart-to-heart off camera. Why is some of this juicy stuff happening off camera? Hello, producers. This was last week also. We need to see these things, but that's also why we watch Between the Sheets, so that Cole can tell us, hey, it sounds like him and Jennifer really were developing some kind of connection there, and what she did truly hurt him. And Tiffany takes this moment while Cole is watching back and being so sad to let him know he should not have let Jennifer disrespect him like that. Easier said than done, Tiffany. Listen, Usman spills the tea in this scene too. He's still alone in his little interviews without the rest of the cast. I'm still not sure what went on there, why he doesn't have the others to play back on, especially because it sounds like he was really close with some of the other cast members, some of the normies and the 90 Days while they were there. Usman reveals that he was so close, in fact, to both Cole and Jennifer that he had a really good viewpoint of their relationship, and he says this was not the only time that Jennifer disrespected Cole. He says Jennifer really punished Cole during their time at the resort and really put him through it, and that Cole would go to Usman and say, hey, can you talk to Jennifer for me, please? Like, can you help me straighten this out? So Usman playing a little bit of the relationship therapist, too, between Cole and Jennifer. Where are those sexy therapists that they hired to do that? Well, once they get back at the resort, we know that Rob and Jennifer get their alone time. But Chantel, who didn't have a huge role, she doesn't get really into all the dirty that's going down on this episode, but she does have a few interesting things to say on Between the Sheets. Chantel is watching this scene of everything playing out between Rob and Jennifer, and she's like, Rob doesn't talk to me like that. Like, he doesn't speak to me all flirty and sweet all the time. She sounded kind of jealous when she was explaining that too. And it was in episode 2 of Between the Sheets, Chantel revealed that there was a moment where she wanted to kiss Rob. And the producers showed that never before seen clip of her mentioning it to him and everyone standing around giggling and it just not happening because Chantel said she could tell Rob wasn't into her. Well, here's another one on this episode where she's saying, oh, he doesn't talk to me like that. He doesn't give me that attention. It sounds to me like Chantel has a thing for Rob and was maybe predicting that they were going to get together at the resort. So she seems a little bit insulted also. Not as butthurt as Cole watching all of this back, but it's hard for her too. But to Rob, it's like, is it all a joke? He sees the clip of Cole saying to Jennifer, you're making a mistake, which was such a pivotal moment in the episode. She's about to walk off and go do her thing with Rob, and Cole leans in and makes this judgment to her, really gets in her head in that moment. When I was watching, I couldn't believe it. That was a really icky thing for Cole to do. And I think it had a little shade of slut shaming too. It was like, you're making a mistake. Like, don't go sully yourself with this man. And controlling would be the exact word that I would use to describe it. So it's no surprise that Jennifer felt that way. But meanwhile, Rob is watching the scene all go down on Between the Sheets, and he laughs about it. He thinks Cole telling Jennifer that she was about to make a mistake is funny. Rob says, F that guy. Okay, Rob, tell us more. Rob explains on Between the Sheets. He's like, hey, Cole, you know what? If it's my turn, I'll take my turn. If it's Cole's turn with Jennifer, I'll leave it alone. That's exactly what he said, and that's gross. Ew. Whose turn with her? And who? Jennifer is not just there for the boys to take their turns with. Okay, gross. Rob, you're gross. Cole actually has serious feelings for Jennifer, and that is very clear. He keeps saying he's never been so hurt in his life. He's like, I've never been treated this way in my life. I'm not sure whether Cole gets out much because this doesn't seem all that terrible in the grand scheme of dating things to me, but I guess that sort of lends to the idea that they were really getting close to each other at the resort, and really maybe there was a lot more to their budding relationship than what we saw on camera. Another thing that we didn't see on camera, which Cole kind of bears his heart and explains that at the very end of the night, when he was meeting with the producers to do his interviews, talking about what had just went down and about how upset he was, a producer was walking him back to his room. And this was the moment when Jennifer and Rob went from Rob's room to Jennifer's and were running by him, giggling, ready to go well, you saw it, get dirtier than we've ever seen on TLC before. And as they were prancing off into the night darkness in front of Cole, Cole says Jennifer turned around and gave him just the most, what Cole calls a diabolical smirk. Like, hey, bro, you insulted me, and now I'm insulting you back. Ha 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 ha. I can just almost hear her evil laugh in my mind as I'm sitting watching Cole on Between the Sheets spill his heart out. This is not a good look for Jeniffer and Tim, who is very entertaining on Between the Sheets as he's watching this all go down on the show. He is with Rob sitting on the couch. They're watching together, and Tim's like, listen, Rob, there is nothing better you could have done on this night to make me feel better than to make Cole look like an idiot, after Cole had confronted Tim in the way that he did. So Tim was happy with Jennifer's behavior for once. But in the meantime, as they're sitting watching, they play the scene of Jeniffer and Cortney the next day, talking about what had gone down between Jeniffer and Rob. And Rob blames Cortney for planting what he calls the Cole seed back in Jennifer's head. Rob's thinking, oh, it was the night after, Jennifer's feeling good about me. And then Cortney goes and is like, hey, what about Cole? I think maybe you hurt his feelings. Rob really showed himself in this moment, and he said, I see people going to Jennifer and being like, what about Cole? Rob says, I know nobody went to Jennifer and was like, well, what about Rob? No, they didn't, and they shouldn't have, and you should probably get over yourself just a teensy bit. Rob also says another thing that irks me a teensy bit. He points out that all the girls at the resort, all the 90-day women, have multiple guys. He says every girl here is in a love triangle, but that the guys would be in trouble. It would not be okay if the guys were doing the same things, if they were playing two girls. Okay, you can STFU with that. Rob, thank you for the segue, because we are about to talk about Cortney's awkward and weird, according to her, those are her words, love triangle. So when Cortney sits down and watches back the scene between Usman and Colt, it really gets her talking about her feelings for both guys. And she explains that her and Colt were really getting close. We've heard about this breakfast they had on the first morning where they really connected. And now she reveals that they had lunch together every single day at the resort. She also says Colt was really trying to get to know her. She felt like they had really deeper conversations than what she ever had with Usman, which I think is very telling. Now, Colt, on the other hand, before we get into Cortney's love triangle, was Colt trying to have a love triangle of his own? He reveals in this moment on Between the Sheets that on the bus ride after the club on the way back to the resort, Chantel was pretty drunk. And Colt said she was, quote, very flirty with him. Chantel allegedly put her hand on Colt's leg. He says she was in his face, and that was the point where Colt thought maybe him and Chantel have some compatibility and that maybe they could be more than friends. He thought maybe Chantel is actually considering him. How the hell does Colt have so many options? So this is not the first time he's mentioned a little bit of romantic feelings between him and Chantel, at least from his point of view. So I don't know, but if he says it happened, I feel that we would have seen it on the show, but there just isn't a lot of time. Sounds like there's a lot of things going down that we didn't see. Especially during that scene with Cortney and Usman where he followed her into her room. I guess that wasn't as nefarious as I just made it sound. But when they play this scene back for Cortney, she is so grossed out to see him in his street clothes on the bed. She's like, he's sweating in my bed. She's grossed out. So am I. I'm sure you were too, just watching it back. She's grossed out, or is she in love with Usman? Usman can't tell. He explains that Cortney was giving him mixed signals. Now, I have to admit, I didn't really see that. It seemed to me like she was pretty clear that she wanted him to go home and sleep in his own bed. But I suppose if he's talking in general over the few days they've been at the resort now for a few days at this point, and he felt like Cortney was really giving him mixed signals. I think maybe what's going on there is that Cortney did have feelings for Usman back when the cameras weren't even there a year ago when they were hanging out together in Turkey. And she knows that he doesn't have any feelings for her. So they both essentially understand that what's going down at the resort isn't real and that they're just filming a TV show. So maybe there's your mixed signals, right? On camera, we have to be one way, but is any of this real? I'm starting to get some ideas that some of it is. I have some guesses about some people who maybe have hooked up. A couple of the normies, I think, got it on, and I think there might be some 90-day normie relationships that are still going on. I'm doing some research on that, and I'm definitely going to let you know what I find out. But there's a really important aspect to Colt here that we haven't touched on a whole lot. He looks like a real good time guy on this show. But then when he's talking to Usman, he gets pretty intense. And there's a moment there where his demeanor really shifts and there's a look in his eyes, and it's what I would call scary. Colt can be scary. We've definitely seen that when he is in conversations with his ex-wives. Tiffany really points this out on Between the Sheets. She says he can get really intense. And Rob chimes in at this point and he says, you know what? Colt does not have the resources to back up his mouth. So is that why Colt usually maybe saves that kind of scary, intense talk for when he is with a partner or with a woman? And we don't usually see him going toe-to-toe with a man as he did with Usman. But Cortney was not impressed watching that scene of those guys basically fight over her. She said she's never seen that side of Usman. And she really elaborates on Usman's feelings about Colt. He was talking to Cortney a whole lot about it. And apparently, Usman felt that Colt, he told Cortney, Colt looks like a woman. He's weak and feminine. And I wish you would go for anybody else, Cortney. Anybody else. Because Usman felt a bad look for the girl that he likes to also have a thing for someone who he felt was so beneath them. Usman sitting in his little solo interview again where he can be real brave. He says Colt has a pot belly. How can Colt even see his you-know-what? Usman is so sure that even the ladies have to struggle to find it. You know what I'm talking about. Usman has apparently thought a lot about what Colt's bedroom prowess might be, because he is assuming that Colt can maybe go for maybe 3 minutes. Usman says, I bet Colt can't last more than 3 minutes, but me, Usman, I'd go at least 35 minutes, sometimes 40. Seems to be watching the clock pretty closely. Usman says maybe even an hour, and Kimberly can testify to that. Kimberly, your ex who you will barely acknowledge or speak about, who we all love very much. Kimberly, thank you for your service, and we are rooting for you always in your single life. And it actually sounded, when they were on the show together, it's been years now, of course, but remember, a lot of their conflict was about Usman withholding intimacy from Kimberly. So now he's saying, hey, she got it, and she got it for a whole hour, and she okay. Yes, I'm here to relay to you what was said on Between the Sheets, but that's too much. That was all the hits. That was everything that you pretty much needed to know. But that backfired. It backfired hard. Usman laying all of this on Cortney and making all these assumptions, negativity, things about Colt. Cortney's like, that turned me all the way off on Usman. Cortney points out they were fighting over her, but she says, yeah, they're fighting over me, but neither one of them have asked me out. Neither one of them want to take me on a date. Cortney says something so profound here. She says they wanted to compete with each other, but they were not competing for me. That's pretty deep. That's pretty observant. And it's easy to write Cortney off as just a good time party girl who likes to drink. And even in this episode of Between the Sheets, Tim said, oh, she likes to gobble up the D. But Cortney is showing us a lot of restraint. She could take Usman's advances and do what he's doing and being like, yeah, let's play this out on camera. We're here now. And she's refusing to do that. So Cortney's really garnering a lot of respect for me in the way that she is handling this. And I feel a little bad for her. Cortney laments. She says Jeniffer has a much hotter love triangle than she does because the men are actually fighting over Jen. Whereas Cortney says her love triangle is just kind of awkward and weird. Oh, it's all right, Cortney. And really, we are rooting for you to find some love. That scene with Colt and Usman delivered us a lot of drama and some scary moments, but also what I think has been the funniest moment so far of the entire Hunt for Love series. And I watched both the regular episode and Between the Sheets twice last night. I watched it back so I could get all the details for you. And when Colt says to Usman, what you're saying is so crazy, thank God I'm sitting down. And Usman says, why? Are you tired? I don't know why. That just freaking kills me every time. It's not finding that funny. Maybe it's just because Usman is bringing us a little levity in that moment. Why are you tired? Oh, making me giggle. Let's wrap this up with some random reveals. I'm going to end the show with these from now on so that you can get all the little tidbits from between the sheets. One little moment that you might not have noticed even if you did watch, Cole revealing that he was in the military by telling a story from when he was in basic training about some guy who was a mouth breather. But I thought that was really important and telling because Cole is coming off, as Jennifer says, controlling. That was the word I would have used also. When you hear that he is a military guy and he has lived a regimented life with a lot of rules and where he himself has been controlled, I can imagine that maybe it doesn't seem so outlandish to him to say what he said to Jennifer. So I just really thought that was kind of an interesting tidbit about Cole. And really, I'm doing a little research and trying to find out more about all the normies. I have a big list here. I've got lots of details and I'm ready to drop all that in a couple of days. So let me know if there's anything specific you need to know about these normies because I am lots of tea to be spilled there. And are you guys interested? Do you care about the normies or not? Like Carlo is so sweet and endearing, and I am convinced that he would be a great partner for Tiffany. I don't know if she's going to go for him or not. We'll have to stay tuned for that. But he made me laugh too watching Between the Sheets. He tells a little story saying, I never bought cologne before in my life. But when I was going to go on this show, I did some research by watching other dating shows, and there was one where they blindfolded everybody and had them smell each other. And so Carlo decided that he better go out and buy some cologne because when he goes and be on this dating show, he is so sure they're going to be sniffing him and he didn't want to be the smelly guy. So I just thought that was very endearing and sweet. One last little tidbit, another thing about Tim. My jury's really out on Tim. I feel like he takes a step forward in showing us who he is and that's a great person and someone who's kind and giving, and then he says something terrible and takes a couple of steps back. But on this episode, he's like, I slept in Tiffany's room every night. That's not even the tea, you guys. He did that because that's where the TV was. He said there was no TV anywhere at the resort, which I'm thinking there probably was, of course, but that production had the TVs taken out of the cast rooms. You hear that they do that a lot so that they can't be sitting in the rooms being entertained, watching TV or knowing what's going on in the world. The producers want them outside of their rooms, fighting with each other, dating and all that kind of stuff. Or other things if they're in their rooms, right? That they can show like they did last week. A little too much. But anyway, there was no TV, and Tim sees like, I had somebody take me to a Mexican superstore, and I bought a TV and a karaoke machine, a card table, cards, all that kind of stuff to make a little party room for the cast to hang out in. So because I guess he let Tiffany keep the TV in her room, another generous move, that's where he would go and sleep and they would hang out and watch TV. And that at the end of their time at the resort, Tim says he picked out a couple staff members that he really liked that cleaned his room and did a lot for him. And he gave away the TV and the karaoke machine, etc., to some of the staff at the resort there. So I thought that was a really sweet move on Tim's part. And we're going to have a lot more drama coming up and next week on the show. They're going to do some sex therapy at the resort, it looks like, where they talk about how much, how often, how do you want it, that kind of a thing. And I'm going to have to sit and talk about it here with you guys. This one's a little more vulgar than we're used to, but at least it just definitely gives us a lot to talk about. They're going to play a sexy balloon popping game where Chantel cheats with her fingernails. Big drama there. And Jennifer is going to spill her guts in what looks like a group therapy moment about Rob and Cole, and that she's really going to set Rob off with, my guess is, revealing that she has some real feelings for Cole. So we will be tuning in to see what goes down on episode 5 of Hunt for Love. And then I will be watching Between the Sheets and coming back here and reporting it all to you on Skipping the Sheets. So thank you so much for watching. If you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, then you will know every time I drop some new 90-day tea. Also go over and check out my other videos if you want to know what has all gone down with the exes of the people who are on Hunt for Love and every season of 90 Day Fiancé 1 through 9, whether the couples are together or not. And I just dropped brand new tea on the new season of Happily Ever After. Jasmine, Gino, bar fight, crazy town. Make sure you go and check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you very, very soon. Bye-bye.